Do you want to make the most beautiful necklace, earring, and bracelet set with the simplest pattern that you can use over and over again? It even works for rings. Basically, anytime you have a round, flat disc that has a hole drilled straight through it, you can use this pattern. And this might become your most favorite pattern ever, because this is just so versatile. It's so pretty. And as you can see, you can use it for just about anything. So let's begin. Almost everything I'm using today is seashell or mother of pearl. If you're looking for a description, sometimes it's just referred to as shell. But these are about 10 millimeter or half-inch discs. Now they look bright white because they're getting whited out by the darkness of the background, but they're actually very the camera hates focusing on close-up stuff, but they're actually kind of a creamy, almost yellowish, with little iridescent parts, which is a common seashell shape and color. You can see it better with these round ones. But anyway, these are 6 millimeter round, 4 millimeter. This is about 12 millimeter. It's slightly more than a half inch. This, I would say, is about 16 millimeter. And I tested all of them to make sure that they can take, we're doing, oh, there we go, now they're focused better. We're doing 16 gauge, I'm sorry, did I just say 16? 20 gauge and 22 gauge, 20 and 22. Basically, I would do the whole thing in 20, but some of these tiny ones can't always fit, so we got to jump to the 22. But that's fine. Either of these gauges will work for this entire thing. And on larger pieces with larger holes, you can do this pattern with 18, 16. You can do it with 24 gauge if you want to be really dainty. But basically 20 and 22 is what I find. So here's the pattern. It's so easy and pretty and amazing that anyone can do it. I love it. Take about a foot. That's it. A third of a meter. Find, again, they have to be drilled. Find the middle of the wire. And you've seen this pattern over and over, but I'm just going to modify it a little bit from what I usually do. Make it even slightly prettier. And we're going to go bend and bend. And then we're going to go backwards to make our loop. Just smooth. Feel the wire. Just come around with the wire. Roll it. Not fighting the wire. Just roll it until you get the size loop you want. I like to make the loop a little smaller than the disc, but it's, you know, however you like it. And then this one again comes back the opposite way we just bent it, and we roll it, okay. Now which we want them to be tight, so this isn't, it can spin but it's not moving up and down too much, so we're going to roll that a little more. And now the next part. This is the part that gets a little tricky, but it's not that hard. You'll get it. You want to take this part and wrap it around the edge. That's the only hard part, is it keeps wanting to flop over the front or back. Move this one out of your way. Coming around the edge, crossing over the front of this loop. And you want to get it as tightly around that edge as possible. So I'm using a lot of fingernail action to try to press it. And I'm pressing it. And this is all just practicing how to press it and where to put the pressure. But just practice a lot. Don't worry if your first one doesn't come out exactly right. It might. But we crossed over this loop. And now we're just going to come around one time. All the way around one time. Same with this one. This one, get it to, I'm using my fingernail to get it over the edge, and we're tracing all the way around and then crossing the loop and once around the loop. Okay, so we did the exact same thing on both sides, mirror image. You see that I got a little corner right there, so I'm just going to use my fingernails to try to press it out. And at the end of the day, I'm just not going to worry about it. Now, before we just wrap and scarf the rest of these, we're going to come back over the face of the stone. We're going to cross these right in the middle, like that. And then we're going to wrap them. Now you can wrap this around as many times as you want. It makes a really cool swirl, but we're not going to cover the whole stone. So we're just going to wrap them around once, like this. And then naturally just bring it around and start wrapping it around this loop. We're going to stack the wraps, like I call it, making a scarf, like the loop is a face. And we're going to wrap around and around and around. And I just came to the end of my wire. I usually like to do about 3 or 4, and that's what I did. Same on this side. Come around, wrap it, wrap it. Oh, and this one I didn't even have enough wire. Well, I had enough to stop right there. So this one I'm just going to tuck the sharp edge in the front rather than the back, which I usually do. Just preference, doesn't really make a difference. Tuck that sharp end into diagonally into the bowl that was created by the scarf. This one is in the back, so we're going to cut it right there. Cut it halfway across the loop, and then you can get it on a diagonal and just shove it right in there. Pinch it right in. Check to make sure this is right around the edge and it's not flopping over the top or back. If it's going to be a bracelet, we'll bend it like that so it starts going around the shape of the wrist. If it's not, we'll just keep it straight if it's earrings. But this piece here, this could be the start of a bracelet. Let me zoom out a little. This could be the start of a bracelet. It could be earrings. It could be a necklace pendant. It could be all of the above. So I'm using 2 of these to be earrings. Slightly bigger one for my bracelet and slightly bigger one for my necklace pendant. And then just like I showed you in other videos, we're going to take little beads and just wrap them and have them dangle on the earrings, because that like adds another dimension of prettiness. So that's where these tiny beads, we're going to use a 22 gauge. And this one I'm pretty confident we only need about 4 inches or 8 centimeters. And we'll stick the beads on. Sorry when this camera goes out of focus, it just, I need to hire a camera person who's gonna pay attention to camera work. All right, get it to a little less than 1 centimeter. Give it a good bend, right angle. I always like to do a right angle and then, come on camera, we're focusing here. Get your round nose pliers. Roll it backwards. Yeah, camera, you're not doing any good. There we go. So that's our loop. We put this tiny loop on the smaller part that's going to hang down. This one we bend the right angle. We don't cut it this time. We grab it like this with the round nose. Wrap the loop around it like this. Roll it until it's the size we want. Now we just hold it. Come all the way around once. And now go diagonal across the bead. Around in the crevice and back. Diagonal across the bead. Around the last loop. And then we're just going to cut it right here. Right like that. Didn't want to cut. There we go. And we're just going to tuck that tiny little sharp end in right there. Just pinch it so it can't scratch anyone. And we're going to adjust these. Make sure both loops are facing the same way with our diagonals in the front. And we're going to connect them with a jump ring so the diagonals are facing out the same way as the pretty pattern. Voila. I'm going to show you one more time with this larger stone. I think this is some kind of gray jasper. But again, it's a disc drilled straight through. I took about 15 inches this time. So let's say 32 centimeters. And again, bend, loop, loop. Roll, 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 till they're just the shape you want. Bend them, roll them, till it's not moving. Make it tight. And then come around the edge, around the edge. This is where you got to press it. You got to play with it and press it. Press it in, hold it like this so it's coming right across the edge. It will never be perfect, no matter how much you play with it. You just do your best and it will look good. See that? I want it over the edge. Okay, and then this crosses over once around. This crosses over. See, when I cross it, it comes off the edge. You want to hold it tight. Hold it tight. Press with your fingernails. Tight on the edge. Come around. And then after you're done, press it against the table. Press the edges. Try to get it as tight as you can. Okay? And now you could end it right here. If you want to just show the stone, you could just wrap it around each loop and end it. That's one way I've done it a lot of times. But to add the design, I like to bring these across like this. Cross them in the middle. If you don't hit the exact middle, don't worry. It still looks pretty no matter where you put it. And they start chasing each other around like two people who linked arms in a square dance, and they're running around and around. Chase each other around. This time it's a bigger stone. You can go around a couple times. Make your loop, your swirl a little bigger. And then when you're satisfied with how many times you went around, press this tight. Naturally come around here and start doing the scarfing. Same with this. And notice I ran out of wire on this side. This side I have more wire to play with, but I'm happy with this. I'm always pressing and adjusting, pressing and adjusting. Part of making the difference between being an elegant, beautiful wire wrapper who makes every little curve just the right amount of balance and soft and, everything. And then someone who's a little more sloppy. The difference is pressing, firm pressing, manipulating the piece, pushing it, pushing everything right where you want it to be. Moving little parts of it until from every angle it looks exactly the way you want it to look. And then once you get that balance, and again, also not giving into perfectionism, because you don't want to drive yourself crazy. It's a happy balance. You want to feel good, confident, but having fun, but not letting the wire do what it wants, telling the wire that you're in control. So for this particular one, at the bottom I just had a little 6mm tiger's eye and a 4mm piece. It's actually just red glass, but it's a really pretty, it looks almost like a garnet or a ruby, as you can see here. And I did the same thing with the diagonal wrap around the beads. So anyway, thank you guys for staying with me through this. Again, find some really pretty chain online. Just use some keywords like pretty chain, links. This is all antique copper, if I haven't said it before, even down to the earring hooks and the jump rings. Whatever color metal you like to use, I say always make sure you have jump rings in all different sizes and all the colors you use, and earring hooks in the same color, and wire of every gauge in the same color, so you can match everything. But if you have to mix metals, that can be fun too. So always just remember to have fun. Let's see how these guys look.